Most people know Ashton Kutcher as the charming guy from sitcoms, the prankster from Punk'd, the heartthrob from That 70s Show, the actor who married Mila Kunis after years of Hollywood chaos. But what most people don't realize is this: behind the jokes and the trucker hats is one of the sharpest businessmen in entertainment. And the reason he became obsessed with building wealth goes all the way back to a hospital room in Iowa. Christopher Ashton Kutcher was born on February 7, 1978, in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, the son of a factory worker father and a Procter & Gamble employee mother, not Hollywood, Iowa. He had a fraternal twin brother named Michael, who was born with cerebral palsy and needed a heart transplant as a child. And watching his brother fight for his life shaped Ashton in ways most people never fully understand. When he was 13 years old, he stood at a hospital balcony in Cedar Rapids and told his father he was considering jumping so his brother would have his heart. His father talked him down. Minutes later, doctors announced a donor had been found. That moment didn't just save Michael. It created a version of Ashton Kutcher the world would eventually meet. Not everyone chasing fame for fun, someone running from fear and turning it into fuel. He enrolled at the University of Iowa in 1996, planning to study biochemical engineering, motivated by the desire to cure his brother's heart condition. College didn't go smoothly. He was kicked out of his apartment for being too loud and wild. To survive, he worked in the cereal department at a General Mills factory and sold his blood plasma for tuition money. Then came the moment that changed everything. A modeling scout approached him at a bar in Iowa City, and he entered the fresh face of Iowa competition, placing first and winning a trip to a New York modeling convention. He signed with Next Modeling Agency, appeared in Calvin Klein commercials, and modeled in Paris and Milan. The Iowa kid who had been selling his blood to pay for classes was suddenly walking runways in Europe, but modeling was never the destination. It was just the door. His first Hollywood audition landed him the role of Michael Kelso in That 70s Show. Kelso was goofy, attractive, lovable, not exactly complex, but Ashton's comedic timing made him unforgettable. The show exploded, and suddenly he was one of the biggest youngsters in Hollywood. But here's the interesting part. Even at the height of the fame, Ashton didn't fully trust it. He knew attention was temporary. So, while other actors were spending recklessly, he became obsessed with understanding money, technology, and what comes next. That obsession would eventually make him richer than acting ever did. In the 2000s, he launched Punk'd, which became one of MTV's biggest hits, and his headline-dominating relationship with Demi Moore kept him tabloid royalty. But behind the scenes, he was quietly paying attention to Silicon Valley, and people laughed at him for it until they realized he was right. In 2010, Ashton co-founded A-Grade Investments alongside entertainment manager Guy Oseary, the billionaire investor Ron Burkle. This wasn't a vanity project. Over 6 years, the $30 million fund turned into $250 million through early investments in companies like Uber, Airbnb, Skype, and Spotify. Read that again. Uber, Airbnb, Spotify, before they were household names. The Forbes cover story of A-Grade Investments became the most widely read issue in Forbes' 99-year history. Suddenly, tech CEOs wanted him in rooms because Ashton understood something most celebrities never figured out. Attention is temporary. Ownership builds wealth. He wasn't chasing endorsements, he was buying stakes. He later co-founded Sound Ventures in 2015, investing in AI companies including OpenAI, Hugging Face, and Anthropic. He didn't just see the tech wave coming, he funded it. But success didn't just make his personal life easier. His marriage to Demi Moore collapsed under media pressure and infidelity allegation. For a while, he was one of the most criticized men in Hollywood. Then came the unexpected twist. He reconnected with his 70s show co-star, Mila Kunis. The two had played a couple on screen years before. They began dating in 2012, got engaged in 2014, and married in July 2015. They now have 2 children together. After years of public chaos, he built something quiet and permanent, and that was probably very intentional. Then, in 2022, he revealed something that stopped everyone cold. He had secretly battled a rare form of Vasculitis, an autoimmune disease that knocked out his vision, his hearing, and his equilibrium. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to see again. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to hear again. I don't know if I'm going to be able to walk again, he told Bear Grylls on National Geographic. It took him a year to recover. For someone whose career runs on energy and presence, it was terrifying. But once again, Ashton adapted. That's the pattern of his entire life. Not perfection, reinvention. Today, Ashton Kutcher net worth is estimated at approximately $200 million, built across acting, producing, venture capital, and real estate. He went from a factory worker kid in Iowa to a sitcom star, to a tech investor who helped fund some of the most valuable companies on the planet. The boy who once stood in a hospital balcony, willing to give everything for his brother, built an empire instead. And maybe that's exactly the point. The people who survive the longest are usually the ones who had the most to lose and choose to build anyway.